My name's Rhys Davis. I'm a composer and sound designer working in theatre, film and television, gallery installation and online. To signify the visual text with sound accompaniment, including Foley sound, atmospheric sound and dialogue, and to compose incidental music depending on what the project is, whether it's a corporate or whether it's a movie. Yes, I mean I didn't, I took a different route, but my students, because I've never had a lesson in sound, it's all self-taught or industry trained, but my students, yeah, they'll either go and do a postgraduate, so one of my students this year has just gone to the National Film School to do sound design, or Bournemouth, or they will use their show reel and get a runner job and then work in the sound department. A lot of them, I mean another one was boom swinging for the BBC. The Thick of It, the political comedy, The Thick of It. Well, there are a lot of transferable skills in sound. The thing is, sound people don't tend to move away from sound. It's different from cinematography, for instance, or editing, where one can move into directing or writing. Sound people, they move around from different specialisms. So you might go from post-production, mixing, to being a live Foley artist working with microphones on stage and practical sound effects. You could become a location sound recordist. I suppose from then you could go on to production. I suppose production and producing is what people do if they decide they don't like sound anymore. Radio. Every single sound that you hear or see in a film is not actually recorded live on set. So every time somebody puts their iPhone down on a chair, like that, we're not recording that sound. It'll be me with something similar, with a big screen with that shot and a microphone, and me timing it so it matches in. So every fist punch, every footstep, every slurp of tea, every explosion, every single sound that you hear is done by somebody like me in post-production. And a Foley artist is an artist who records or signifies action sounds. So footsteps, fights, skateboarding, it doesn't really matter. It'll be somebody with a microphone. So, I mean, have you seen Jurassic Park? Jurassic Park. Have you seen the bit where the little dinosaur is being born from the egg? Yeah? Well, if you Google Jurassic Park Foley, you'll see a clip of that. And the Foley artist is explaining how the sound was. And it's basically ice cream cornets, wafers that are being broken for the egg, with a pineapple and a cloth and slime to get the slithery sound. And you see the picture, and you're actually doing the sound to action. So there's that. That's the funnest stuff, and my students love doing all of that at college. And the rest is creating atmospheres, going on location, creating libraries, in order then to signify the whole visual text with sound. Because nobody thinks about sound. Nobody thinks about it at all. Nobody comes here to do sound. Nobody comes to my college to do sound, because the best sound design is sound that is not noticed on a conscious level. The truth is, it depends what course you do. You want a course that has a strong vocational element to it, but you also want a course that is not just vocational. There are some courses that are just designed to train you up to work in the industry. The problem is, we don't know what the industry is going to be like when you are ready to go into the job market. You know, when I was your age, there were 3 television channels and some newspapers, and that was the media. But now, every aspect of every part of every life is media driven. You could be working for Coca-Cola in the media department. You could be doing promotional films. You could be doing this, that, and the other. Nobody watches television. Nobody watches broadcast when it's broadcast unless it's Strictly or The X Factor. Everybody else just box sets or catches up or, records a whole watch of stuff and then watches it in one go. So what's the future of the industry? So you need to think of a course that has strong practical skills, but also lots of transferable ones, so that you can work in different areas, either in the creative industries or someplace else. Give yourself every opportunity to make choices. Making films is all about creating a situation where you're then free to make a lot of different choices about the kind of film and how the film looks. And the same is with your career. You do enough things, you give yourself choices and go in whatever direction it leads you. But don't put all your eggs into one basket, because that basket might have holes in it.
My name's Alan Smith. I'm a lighting cameraman. I started at Bournemouth College of Art and did 3 years as a degree there. Then I went to work at the BBC and never worked for anybody else. So I was very lucky that most of my career was at the BBC. And when I was there, I got a job as an assistant film cameraman. And the roles really were putting a clapperboard on, logging all the film, putting film into magazines, unloading it, loading it, sending it to the labs. It then got processed, came back, was viewed, and I did that for a long, long time. So I did initially 4 years on documentaries all around the world, and then another 4 years doing dramas, on really, really nice top dramas. Then followed by some more dramas, which was Bergerac, all those sort of things, some light entertainment programs. Eventually got made up into a cameraman, and I started doing tape technology in the 90s, and that was Betamax, Digibeta, then high definition. And then in 2000 the BBC closed the film department, so we were all made redundant. So I went freelance and have been freelance ever since. And the great thing is you can work on anything. You don't have to just work on BBC programmes, you can work on anything. So for me that was a brilliant move, and I got paid. The issue is pay. At the BBC you're a staff member and you get a salary, and your money goes into the bank account every month. You don't have to put in any invoices, you don't have to do anything. It was brilliant. As a freelancer, you have to think about everything, and you really do have to think about money. And you need to know what your rate is, you need to fight for that, you need to then chase people for payment, because 4 weeks will go by and you still won't have been paid for that 1 or 2 days you've done. So it's a hard world when you're freelance, and you have to think of a lot more things than you did when you were at the BBC. Freelance is nice because you can actually pick and choose the jobs you want to do. If you don't want to, you just say, I'm sorry, I'm busy. If the money isn't very good, you say, well, I'm sorry, I can't do it for that rate. Maybe, you could charge, you could give me another £10–15. If they say no, you say, right, okay, well, I can't do it for that money, or something like that. You can actually fight your corner a bit. However, you might find that you need the money so badly, you have to work for the lower rate that you didn't really want to go down to. So that's the bad side of freelance, really. And it's hard getting work. You have to get your own work. Drama is a massive circus of people. So you've got about 7 or 8 different departments. You've got just camera and sound, obviously. You've got lighting. You've got design, and that includes wardrobe and makeup. You've got a massive lighting department that I would be in control of. And then you've got the production team, which involves script supervisors, producers, executive producers. And then beyond all the production work, there's the editing and post-dubbing and all that. So it's a massive list of credits that have to be put on a drama. Whereas a documentary could be as little as 2 or 3 people. But it's much more fun when it's just 2 or 3 because you can get on with it. Everything takes twice as long on a drama. My advice is simply try not to do too much for nothing. You'll be asked to do work for nothing because it's good experience, inverted commas. Yes, you will have to get the experience, but all I'm saying to you is you cannot afford to do that. You cannot afford to pay rent and rail fare and eat if you don't get paid. But there's an awful lot of production companies out there that will ask you to do stuff for nothing. Well, how long do you go on like that for? So you set yourself a target of, say, 3 or 6 months and say, yeah, okay, I will do, and hope your parents can support you. And then from there on, you can say, well, look, I need expenses then. I need to be able to get in the car and drive to the location at 5 in the morning. If you want me there at 5, then how do I get there? There's no public transport. There's a lot of things that production don't think about, and it's you guys that suffer. But at the end of the day, the reward is fantastic. If you can get yourself into a production and you really enjoy it, then you're made. And really what you've got to do is enjoy this work, because if you don't enjoy your job, then there's no point doing it. What you have to do is have a standby career. I have 3 jobs, and I've always had 3 jobs. Nothing to do with television. Well, the 2 other jobs are nothing to do with television. One of them is to do with makeup, and one of them is to do with picture framing. So I'm a picture framer. I sell airbrush makeup. My wife is a makeup designer, hence the reason I got into that. And we always, the pair of us, had standby careers just in case. And this is when we were at the BBC. So, there's a lot of things you must have up your sleeve in case you can't get in. You've got to earn money somehow. So hopefully there was something else you were interested when you were at school, or something you were good at. And I would encourage you to do something else as well if you can, to fill in. Because if you don't, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. If you want to get into this industry, you kind of need to put yourself in a position where you can do... I think university isn't the right profession, and I don't think a university degree would be the right thing. If you were going to do some kind of further education, I would suggest an art school. Something like this course you're doing at the moment is perfectly good, perfectly good. When you leave this, you need to have something to say, I have done this course, I have done that, I've done a cross-section of all sorts of things, from script writing to lighting to sound, cameras, all those sort of things. You need them under your belt before you leave here. You need something like that. Don't just stick to one vocation.